looking to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good afternoon, I'm Alma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic as the world resets to the new normal. We find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, a super cyclone is making its way into Bangladesh and India, already killing several people along its way. Reporting live from Bangladesh is our EBC correspondent, Arabel Pascua. Hello, Arabel.
Hi, Alma. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? With the super cyclone there.
Here. Yeah. Here are the latest updates in Bangladesh. The strongest cyclone in decades slammed into Bangladesh and eastern India on Wednesday, sending water surging inland and leaving a trail of destruction as the death toll rose to at least 9. Here in Bangladesh, Alma, the extremely severe cyclone made landfall in the coastal regions of Bangladesh around 4 p.m. on Wednesday. First, here are some reactions.
We have helped children and families move away from these households into government-provided shelters. Also, one must remember that this being the COVID-19 period, even bringing them into government shelters is becoming very difficult because of physical distancing that people need to maintain. So we cannot have the government shelters filled up at 100% level. We can only do to a level of 30 to 40%, etc. It's a bit unnerving, to be very honest. I mean, it's not your usual storm that it's going to happen and then it's going to be over. It's not one of those.
Certainly, it is you can say a double threat in this pandemic situation. We have got the threat due to this COVID-19, and at the same time, we have got this tropical cyclone approaching a densely populated area of West Bengal and Bangladesh.
Ahead of the landfall, the government evacuated 2.4 million people and more than 500,000 livestock to 14,636 shelter centers in 19 coastal districts by Wednesday afternoon. The Health Services Division has deployed 1,933 medical teams to provide emergency medical support in the coastal areas following the landfall of Cyclone Amphan. Amphan's eyes crossed over from the Bay of Bengal to the West Bengal Bangladesh coast, east of Sagar Island, at about 4 p.m. and lay over the coastal part of the Sundarbans area belonging to both India and Bangladesh. The coastal districts of West Bengal faced the brunt of the storm with a wind speed of 160 kilometers per hour and gusts up to 185 kilometers per hour. Maritime ports Mala and Paira were advised to hoist Great Danger Signal number 10, while Great Danger Signal number 9 for Chittagong and Cox's Bazar ports. Meanwhile, experts fear rise in COVID-19 infections after Eid. The test positive rate of COVID-19 in Bangladesh has been on the rise lately. More people have been getting infected with COVID-19 recently as the process of easing the lockdown was not conducted properly. The reopening of garment factories and markets also contributed to the increased rate of infection, with the situation like to worsen as people rush home from Eid. After extending the lockdown several times since it was initiated on March 26, the government decided to extend it once more while at the same time easing restrictions on a limited scale from the first week of May. According to the Directorate General of Health Services, the death toll from the deadly coronavirus rose to 386 with 16 new deaths in the last 24 hours. The total number of infections stood at 26,738 with 1,617 new cases in the same time span. And living at the hospitals fully recovered are 5,207. Back to you, Alma.
So how are the evacuation efforts over there? Of course, with the COVID-19 complicating everything, are they able to comply with the new normal measures or social distancing?
Yes, Alma, it is really difficult and people may have trouble compliance due to the cyclone. Actually, the cyclone, which briefly reached a category 5 with a super cyclone status on Tuesday, Save the Children has expressed particular concern about the threat posed by Cyclone Amphan to millions of children and their families in low-lying coastal areas. This is where storm surge and flooding could devastate communities already coping with COVID-19. It was reported that in southwestern Bangladesh, a 5 feet high storm surge broke an embankment and swamped farmland. Bangladesh officials were particularly concerned about the damage to the Sundarbans, a UNESCO World Heritage Site famed for its mangrove forest and tiger population, which they said bore the brunt of the cyclone. Another concern, Alma, although outside Amphan's predicted path, were fears for almost 1 million Rohingyan refugees in southeastern Bangladesh. Most are living in flimsy makeshift shacks. So yes, Alma, social distancing may be the last thing on people's mind as they try to save themselves during the storm. Alma?
Okay, so Arabelle, you are in the city in Dhaka.
Yes, Alma. I'm here in Dhaka City.
So how is it
actually
there?
the weather here is nice. Outside, I am seeing it in my window. It's very sunny,
Okay.
and the wind. There's some wind, but mostly there is no rain. But
Okay.
last night it was heavy rains, but in the morning it was all clear already.
Okay, so where was it? It's in the coastal areas of the country.
Yes, most affected is in the coastal areas district.
All right, thank you very much, Arabelle. Mag-iingat kayo dyan. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Alma. Always keep safe and everyone also. Reporting live from Bangladesh, I am Arabelle Pasqua. We live in interesting times.
Okay, let's get the latest coronavirus situation in California. Plus, is Facebook. Facebook is helping struggling retailers create online jobs, online stores rather. Donna Roscoe joins us live from the Silicon Valley. Hello, Dawn.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon. And I like your polka dots blouse.
So what are your updates for us, Dawn?
You look lovelier.
Thank you so much.
Anyway,
You put a
going
smile
to
on my
report,
face. Always, okay.
So before I dwell into any of the Facebook, alam mo, most of us are on Facebook. Ano?
Yes.
So before I get into that, let me do COVID first. Ano?
Yes.
For California, for the Bay Area, and in Silicon Valley. In California, currently, there's about 1.33 million who have been tested, and 82,000 has been tested positive. 3,400 have died out of COVID-19. In the Bay Area, which consists of 6 counties, 11,000 confirmed cases with 390 who perished. And here in Santa Clara County, Silicon Valley, of course, it's home for Google, home for Amazon, home for Yahoo, home for Facebook, and home for Apple. There's a 2,483 tested positive with 137 deaths, and that's the current numbers I have for COVID. Now let's transition to Facebook. Ano? Facebook on Tuesday unveiled free tools for retailers hit by the pandemic to create online storefronts at the social network and Instagram. The initiative by the massive social network aims to assist the retail sector, which has been crushed by the coronavirus lockdowns around the world. Merchants can easily set up shops on Facebook and Instagram, customize looks and display products according to the California-based internet giant. The primary focus of Facebook shops is to make it easy businesses to have online storefronts to survive during the crisis and ride the online shopping trend into the future. According to Zuckerberg, Facebook is already involved in e-commerce with a marketplace for selling goods and as a venue where businesses through pages at the social network or Instagram. Businesses have an option to buy Facebook ads to direct customers to their online shops. Sales can be consummated at websites of the social network. Merchants in the US can use a Facebook checkout service to handle transactions, paying a nominal fee. Shops will roll out in coming months to some 160 million businesses that already use the social network. Zuckerberg said information about what people buy will be kept private unless shoppers want to tell friends about purchases. Facebook plans to eventually weave shops into its Messenger and WhatsApp communication platform. So that's the latest here in Silicon Valley. This is Don Orozco reporting live from Silicon Valley. Again, reminding everyone, stay home, stay safe, save lives. And yes, we live in interesting times.
Okay, let's go over to Vietnam. The Panasonic plant there is going to shut its appliance factory in Thailand and consolidate a larger production facility in Vietnam. Okay, we go over to Vietnam. Eliana Faith joins us. Eliana Faith Sebastian joins us live from our Vietnam Bureau. Hello, Eliana, how are you?
Hi, Alma. I'm good.
Nice to see you.
Here's the latest update here in Vietnam. Panasonic is to move appliance production from Thailand to Vietnam. Panasonic will shut down a large appliance factory outside Bangkok as early as this fall and consolidate production to a larger facility in Vietnam for greater efficiency, according to Nikkei.com. With the move to Vietnam, Panasonic seeks to reduce costs through consolidating parts procurement. The Vietnam plant, located outside Hanoi, is the company's largest manufacturing hub for refrigerators and washing machines in Southeast Asia and has excess capacity. Panasonic currently employs about 8,000 people in Vietnam. In addition to large appliances, local units manufacture such products as TVs, cordless telephones, card payment terminals, and industrial devices. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much. So how is Vietnam now? Can you give us a bit of a picture on normal measures in place over there in Vietnam?
Okay, Alma, here in Vietnam, almost all things are back to normal. Everything is almost back to business. Students are back in schools and people are back to their work. However, it can be observed that not all people now are wearing face masks and not all people are observing social distancing. However, there are also some people who still observe these precautionary measures at this time of pandemic. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Eliana. I hope to see you back soon. Thank you very much, EBC Vietnam Bureau.
Thank you, Alma. This is Eliana Sebastian reporting live from Da Nang, Vietnam. And we live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, Thailand will decide on May 31 if a state of emergency will be extended. Let's get an update from Cristel Mapa. Hello, Cristel.
Hi, Alma. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. What are your updates from Thailand?
Yes, here are the latest updates here in Thailand. Officials will decide today on the future of the emergency decree, which is due to end on May 31st, National Security Council. Secretary General Somsak Rungsita said yesterday. General Somsak said the meeting will comprise security officers and representatives from health and business sectors. Whether to extend the law will depend largely on the actual COVID-19 situation, he said. The recent single-digit daily new infection numbers are a result of strict measures implemented under the decree last month. General Somsak added, officials need to understand the facts on the ground before deciding on the next move. The outcome of the meeting today will be forwarded to the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration tomorrow. The CCSA will then forward its recommendations to the Cabinet for consideration next Tuesday. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Crystal, for your time. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Alma. Reporting live here in Thailand, I am Crystal Mapa. We live in interesting times.
And let's get the situation in New Zealand. Joining us live from New Zealand is Bea Borja. Hello, Bea.
Hello, Alma. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
It's good. It's cold. It's getting cold.
Getting cold there?
Yeah.
And seems like New Zealand is getting better too with and tackling the coronavirus.
Yes, it sure is. New Zealand's combination of keep it out, stamp it out, and go hard, go early strategies continue to prove successful. Today is the country's 8th day in Alert Level 2 and the 4th day in a row that the Ministry of Health has reported no new cases. 97% of confirmed and probable cases of COVID-19 have recovered, leaving just 30 active cases in the country. Despite seeing a low number of cases for days now, however, the Ministry of Health released yesterday its official contact tracing app called the NZ COVID Tracer. Director General for Health Dr. Ashley Bloomfield explained that the app works like a digital diary. It stores information on locations visited when a person scans the establishment's unique QR code. Dr. Bloomfield encouraged New Zealanders to download the app and support the effort to identify, test, trace, and isolate any COVID-19 case. So just to put New Zealand's COVID-19 situation in perspective, Alma, this country is roughly the same size as the Philippines, but with only 5 million population as of their latest census. At the outset of this global health crisis, the government has put together a systematic COVID-19 response mechanism and followed through with strict enforcement. Meanwhile, the level of compliance and cooperation of New Zealanders to those measures have only been second to none. It is no wonder then that the country appears to be now enjoying the dividend of their collective sacrifices in fighting and steadily winning the battle against this contagion. With numbers looking good and sustaining the effort to minimize and contain outbreaks, Cabinet meets again on Monday to review Alert Level 2 restrictions and possibly increase the number of people allowed to gather. Alma?
Of course, now New Zealand is turning to reviving the economy. Do you have any update on the microfinance for small businesses or for businesses as a whole?
Yes, Alma. Several schemes come to mind, such as the Small Business Cash Flow Scheme that has been in place since the lockdown. This is for viable businesses with maximum 50 full-time equivalent employees. And then there's the wage subsidy scheme that has also been in place since the lockdown and has been extended for another 8 weeks for a total of 20 weeks. And there are other items included in the 2020 budget amounting to 4 billion New Zealand dollars, such as there's a direct business support package, which is a temporary loan package to incentivize businesses to continue with their research and development efforts, which may be at risk because of COVID-19. Then there's also the multi-billion boost for New Zealand trade and enterprise to expand the scope and intensity of effort for exporting firms. And the last one that I can think about off the top of my head is the support for small businesses to improve their e-commerce service offerings so that they can cope with the requirements for social distancing if they have small businesses, and they can offer online more freely and adopt e-commerce.
All right. Thank you so much, Bea, for your updates. Keep them coming there in New Zealand. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Alma. This is Bea Borja reporting live from Wellington City, New Zealand. We live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus will be right back. Stay tuned.
Iba't iba man ang pinanggalingan, iisa lang ang pinangahawakan. Ang pangarap na makilala sa kanilang larangan. Mas titindi pa ang performances ng ating mga TNG aspirants dito lang sa pinakabago at pinakamalaking talent competition ng Philippine Television. Ito ang...
This program is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved NutriChoice, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChoice. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Food Standard Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. Participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Colorful protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. R Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system, starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved NutriChunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa NutriChunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ibang klase ang sarap ng corned beef mo. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Kaya perfect ang sarap. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. 7 out of 10 regions in New York have met the metrics to begin phase 1 of the reopening plan. That and more news from our EBC correspondent in New York, Tenny Sumage. Hello, Tenny.
Hello, Alma. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to see you back.
Doing great. Can't wait for this lockdown to be over.
Yes. So what are your updates for us, Tenny? What's happening in New York?
Well, for numbers, 1.5 million people have been tested so far for COVID-19, for coronavirus. About over 354,000 have been tested positive, and almost 23,000 have there's 23,000 deaths. Numbers are headed to the right direction, however. Hospitalizations, intubations, and number of new cases are down. As you mentioned, 7 out of 10 regions in New York have met the metrics to begin phase 1 of the reopening plan, but New York City has only met 4 out of the 7 metrics. New York State has doubled testing capacity to reach 40,000 tests per day and has more than 700 test sites. Eligible New Yorkers are encouraged to find a nearby testing site and get tested. All local governments are directed to expand testing in low-income communities and develop outreach programs. Governor Cuomo said the spread is continuing in low-income communities. They tend to be high in Latino and African American populations. As terms of religious gatherings, no more than 10 people and drive-in and parking lot services will be allowed statewide beginning today, Thursday, May 21st. A 2-week hospital visitation pilot program in 16 hospitals across the state will allow increased visitations for family members and loved ones. In New York City, in Broadway, some businesses will not be reopening. Some shows like Frozen on Broadway and restaurants like Momofuku are not planning to reopen. New York City is proposing to help restaurants reopen and follow social distancing by doing outdoor dining options like in Europe, closing down streets, lanes, or plazas so multiple restaurants can share the space.
Okay, so religious gatherings are now allowed for up to how many people?
10 people.
10 people, okay. And also restaurants, dine-in, is that allowed now? No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
There is a plan, however, for it to come. It's just depending on whether New York City will, the phases in New York City is planning on, they're planning on June 15th. And what Mayor de Blasio had said, once the phasing starts, there'll also be a plan for restaurants to reopen, which is phase 3.
Okay. So what is phase 1 though? What is you're planning to reopen on phase 1? What is phase 1 though? Okay, what are the criteria for that?
Well, there's criteria. Governor Cuomo set 7 criterias, and as I mentioned, Cuomo, and as I mentioned, we've only met 4 out of 7. So phase 1 would be, phase 1 would allow construction, manufacturing, wholesale supply chain businesses to reopen, as well as many retailers and curbside pickup, in-store pickup, or drop-off. So phase 1 would entail retail stores, construction places where there isn't a huge COVID-19 cases.
That's right. What about sports? Do you have any update on sports over there in New York?
Well, NBA is planning for June 1st to have some kind of plan of restarting, continuing the season. And I just finished watching Last Dance. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan.
Yes.
I've been a Michael Jordan fan since 1991. So watching Last Dance, it's just you really get to understand what a global iconic athlete Michael Jordan is. As a child growing up, I'm a big, I've played basketball since I was in elementary school, and I just graduated. Speaking of graduation, it was around this time where they won their first championship in 1991. So when that happened, I told my dad, I want to be like Mike. I want, I want every kind of Jordan memorabilia that's out there. So I was limited. I wasn't allowed to get Jordans or a jersey because it was too expensive, but my dad treated me for at least a poster. So, and a t-shirt. So
all right.
But it's a great documentary. Everybody should watch it.
Yes, so that's what you did while on lockdown. One of the things you did while on
Yes.
lockdown.
Yes.
All right. All right. Aside
To-
from researching for our reports on the news. Thank you so much,
Exactly.
Jenny. Thank you so much for your updates, and thank you so much for your time. I know it's early morning there. Thank you very much. Stay safe and stay
Thank you.
healthy.
Thank you, Alva. Tani Samagi. We live in interesting times.
All right, over in Thailand, the cash-strapped national carrier will look to undergo a restructuring through the kingdom's bankruptcy court. That is according to the premier, Prayut Chan-o-cha, as the stricken company is battered by the crash in tourism caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Thai Airways, which is 51% owned by the government, has long fought to stay afloat, registering losses of almost $800 million over the past 3 years. Now, its troubles come as the world aviation sector faces its biggest crisis. Borders globally being closed, which has sent a number of airlines either into bankruptcy or forced them to seek massive government help. Thai Airways debt was 245 billion baht, or 7.6 billion US dollars at the end of last year, according to local media, which also said it was set to outpace its assets in 2020. The premier, Prayut Chan-o-cha, said instead of allowing the airline to go bankrupt, it will ask the insolvency courts for a reorganization that will allow it to set out a debt restructuring plan. He said, quote, "It is the only way that the airline can operate and the staff will still have a job." In a statement after the announcement, the airline said it will not be dissolved or go into liquidation or be declared bankrupt, though its union said some 5,000 staff out of its 20,000-strong team is expected to be let go. The finance ministry will also likely reduce its shareholder stake, which means it would no longer be a state enterprise, according to a government spokesperson. Under Thailand's bankruptcy laws, a company undergoing rehabilitation will not have to repay its creditors during the process, according to lawyer Ukrit Detsiri of Price Sanond, representing international hotel chains and food and beverage companies. Thailand's economy is expected to shrink more than 6% this year as the outbreak shatters the country's crucial tourism industry, with all flights into the country banned until the end of June. President Duterte appealed for public understanding as his administration is left with no choice but to restrict the distribution of the second tranche of emergency subsidies under the Social Amelioration Program, or SAP. Take a look.
Yung nakakuha, sa uli na lang ninyo kasi talagang yayariin. The 18 million will be ready. And we are prioritizing the 5 million na hindi nakatanggap. Ngayon, magtipid tayo. Gusto natin na bigyan lahat. Ang problema ho, wala tayong kita. Alam mo naman ninyo, wala nagbabayad ng buwis for all of the months that we were under a lockdown or a quarantine. So remember that we are short of tax collections. And kayo na ho umiintindi, lahat naman tayo nagdudusa. And hindi naman natin gusto to.
Each low-income household in the country will get a monthly emergency subsidy worth 5,000 to 8,000 pesos for April and May to help them cope with the COVID-19 crisis, according to Republic Act 11469, or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. The original number of SAP beneficiaries, as stated under RA 11469, is 18 million, as the President said. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, however, has agreed with President Duterte to extend the financial assistance to 5 million more poor families, bringing the total number of SAP recipients to 23 million. President Duterte said not all the 23 million indigent families could benefit from the implementation of the second phase of the SAP because government funds are already depleting. The President also noted that the government has limited funds because its tax collections fall short since he imposed strict quarantine rules last March to stop the further spread of COVID-19. All SAP beneficiaries, including the additional 5 million low-income households, will get the first tranche of emergency subsidies. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año told President Duterte that 97% of poor families have received the first wave of payouts. On Tuesday, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said only more than 18 million indigent families would get the second tranche of cash aid due to lack of funds for the SAP implementation. Secretary Roque said those living in areas under enhanced community quarantine or ECQ and modified enhanced community quarantine are the only ones qualified to get the second wave of financial assistance. Cebu and Mandaue cities were put under ECQ, while Metro Manila and the provinces of Laguna, Bataan, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, and Zambales were placed under MECQ from May 16 to the 31st. There are no shortcuts on the acceleration of the timeline of COVID-19 vaccine and its safety measures. That is according to WHO's Dr. Michael Ryan. At a press briefing on Wednesday, he also warned against using hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine, the drugs for malaria and other diseases, in the treatment of COVID-19. Take a look.
At this stage, hydroxychloroquine, norchloroquine have been as yet found to be effective in the treatment of COVID-19 or in the prophylaxis against coming down with the disease. In fact, the opposite in that warnings have been issued by many authorities regarding the potential side effects of the drug, and many countries have limited its use to that of clinical trials or during clinical trials or under the supervision of clinicians in a hospital setting. That's specifically for COVID-19 because of a number of potential side effects that have occurred and could occur. There are things we can do faster and better. There are things we can do in parallel. But there are no shortcuts on safety. There are no shortcuts on efficacy. It's really, really important that when we say we wish to go faster, we wish to be as efficient as possible, but still complete every step that's necessary in delivering a safe and efficacious vaccine. We need to track the infection, the virus itself, as it spreads around the world. We need to track its transmission dynamics to ensure that we understand how it's transmitting, where it's transmitting. We need to track the genetic sequences of the virus to ensure that the virus is not evolving in a way that's negative. Viruses can evolve in two ways. They can evolve positively in becoming less pathogenic, and they can evolve negatively in becoming more virulent or pathogenic. And we also have to track the clinical syndrome to be able to check whether any changes in the virus are resulting in any differences in the clinical attack rate or clinical fatality or clinical syndromes that are presenting.
A Chinese laboratory has been developing a drug it believes has the power to bring the coronavirus pandemic to a halt. Researchers say a drug being tested by scientists at China's prestigious Peking University could not only shorten the recovery time for those infected, but even offer short-term immunity from the virus. Dr. Sunny Shi, director of the university's Beijing Advanced Innovation Center for Genomics, said that the drug has been successful at the animal testing stage. Take a look.
We would be able to stop the pandemic with an effective drug, even without a vaccine. After 5 days, the viral load was reduced by a factor of 2,500. So that means this potential drug has therapeutic effect. In addition, if we inject the neutralizing antibody before we infect the mice, then the mice would be free of infection. No virus can be detected. So this offers the second use as a temporary protection. For example, patient's family or medical workers can use this. According to the literature, the protection time could be a few weeks. We are working on ways to extend this time to a few months, perhaps. Our team has been working day and night in search for the neutralizing antibody. Our expertise is single-cell genomics rather than immunology or virology. When we realized that the single-cell genomic approach can effectively find the neutralizing antibody, we were thrilled. I know many research laboratories around the world are trying to develop this. We simply had an early start, and we had a new methodology only because our group, our center, is specializing on single-cell genomics. We want to see this drug really benefit the whole world. So this collaboration is truly international.
Now, the drug uses neutralizing antibodies or antibodies produced by the human immune system to prevent the virus infecting cells, which Dr. Shi's team isolated from the blood of 60 recovered patients. A study on the team's research, published Sunday in the scientific journal Cell, suggests that using the antibodies provides a potential cure for the disease and shortens recovery time. He added that the drug should be ready for use later this year and in time for any potential winter outbreak of the virus, which has infected 4.8 million people around the world and killed more than 315,000. China already has 5 potential coronavirus vaccines at the human trial stage, according to a health official last week. But the World Health Organization has warned that developing a vaccine could take 12 to 18 months. COVID-19 is not the only challenge the world is facing. That is according to WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus. Take a look.
The resolution sets out a clear roadmap of the critical activities and actions that must be taken to sustain and accelerate the response at the national and international levels. It assigns responsibilities for both the WHO and its member states and captures the comprehensive whole of government and whole of society approach we have been calling for since the beginning of the outbreak. If implemented, this would ensure a more coherent, coordinated and fairer response that saves both lives and livelihoods. COVID-19 is not the only challenge the world is facing. The climate crisis is causing increasingly strong storms, abnormal weather patterns, and catastrophic shocks. Supercyclone Amphan is one of the biggest in years and is currently bearing down on Bangladesh and India. Our thoughts are with those affected, and we recognize that, like with COVID-19, there is a serious threat to life, particularly the poorest and the most marginalized communities.
Meanwhile, thousands of shoppers are flooding a local market ahead of the Muslim Eid al-Fitr in Indonesia's city of Sukabumi, ignoring a rising number of virus infection cases in the country. Residents are seen wearing face masks and forming long lines at the market. Take a look.
Tapi gimana maksain?
Kenapa maksain?
Pengen gitulah. Pakaian anak. Baju lebaran aja.
Oh gitu.
Punya rumah di sini.
Philippine government conducted a final inspection of the mega swabbing center at the Philippine Sports Stadium inside the Ciudad de Victoria Erlo Bringas has more.
This mega shopping center here in Philippine Sports Stadium in Ciudad de Victoria can be used in the next few days for COVID-19 emergency response. The Philippine government conducted its final inspection on Wednesday, May 20, 2020 of the mega swabbing center at the Philippine Sports Stadium inside the Ciudad de Victoria compound in Bucay, Bulacan. A total of 96 test booths put up here in the Philippine Sports Stadium for a mega swabbing facility and can accommodate of almost 1,500 testing per day. It is targeted to assist in collecting swab specimens so that testing efforts will increase in the greater Metro Manila area and will be manned by around 400 volunteers from various government agencies. It is one of 4 mega centers targeting the north sector of National Capital Region and also Bulacan and Pampanga, which are all under modified enhanced community quarantine. There are also plans to construct a molecular laboratory in the area for COVID-19 tests, according to officials. The National Task Force for COVID-19, led by Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., Deputy Chair Vince Dizon, led the inspection of the swabbing center at the Philippine Sports Stadium, which is beside the Philippine Arena. Galvez said that the government is now overwhelmed with huge influx of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs repatriated to the country. The establishment of mega swabbing centers is a big help so that more of these OFWs can be tested.
Nakita po natin na mayroon po tayong problema sa OFW that we were overwhelmed by the influx of OFW na more or less 35,000 every month. At ito pong swabbing center na 6 tents at saka yung testing booth po nito ay napakalaking tulong sa ating gobyerno at sa ating mamamayan. Yung ating pasasalamat ng ating mahal na Pangulo, noong nag-report po ako sa kanya ay sinabi ko po na talagang ating mga mahal na Eduardo Manalo ay talagang tumutulong po sa ating mga OFW.
Pagsa ng dami ng test, lalo na nanggagaling sa OFW, talagang magkukos ng konting congestion yon, no? Pero ngayon, like sinabi ni Secretary Galvez, minamadali na yon para yung mga OFWs natin ay finally makauwi na. We're computing that right now based on the number of tests that we can do. Kasi ngayon, dahil nga nagsisimula pa lang tayo mag-build up ng capacity, hindi pa natin ma-stabilize yung testing natin per day. Pero once na nag-stabilize tayo in the next few weeks, then we will be able to give a more definitive answer to that.
Also present during the inspection were Senator Manny Pacquiao and Maligay Development Corporation Chief Operating Officer Attorney Glisero G.P. Santos IV.
Napakalaking bagay ito at ito na yung malaking tulong para ma-resolve itong problema na ito. Magtulong-tulong tayo. Siguro lahat ng pwedeng tumulong, ini-agencies na makatulong para sa pag-resolve nitong problema na ito.
Earlier, 3 mega tents had been constructed beside the Philippine Arena as we heal as one quarantine center for suspected COVID-19 patients, including those exhibiting mild symptoms and the asymptomatic or those who have no symptoms. Housing facilities have also provided for healthcare workers and other frontliners who will manage and treat the patients under quarantine in isolation facilities. There are currently more than 80 overseas Filipino workers who had been earlier repatriated who are now in the said quarantine and isolation facility inside the Ciudad de Victoria. The government officials again thanked the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ for allowing the use of the Ciudad de Victoria compound, including the 20,000-seater Philippine Sports Stadium as a mega swabbing facility.
Pasalamatan, Iglesia ni Cristo, ang ating Chief Minister Eduardo Manalo. Napakabuti niyo po at alam po namin, pinangpuso niyo ay nasa OFW being the special envoy of the OFW. Marami po kayong natulungan.
We cannot express how thankful we are to the Iglesia ni Cristo led by Ka Eduardo Manalo. Alam niyo po, ito pong Philippine Arena is a model for how we set up the end-to-end infrastructure ng test, trace, treat.
Reporting from Bucay, Bulacan for Eagle News, Erlo Bringas, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Arlo. And that's the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region and beyond. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.
Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.